Howdy, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Today on the show, we're going to talk about factory farming and whether or not it's ethical to kill animals for food. I'll also talk just a little bit about lighting for videos like this. I saw a fun little bit with Matthew McConaughey on Colbert yesterday. He talked about his Zoom game. I thought he made some interesting points, so I'm just going to discuss it quickly with you in a fun way. I'll show you the difference that lighting makes on video. Today's show is brought to you by Sage Against the Machine. This is a vegan food truck here in Bellingham, Washington. They make some really tasty food, and they donate a portion of their profits to the Humane Society. Check them out. Check out their menu. Maybe check out if there are any food trucks like this in your area that you can support. Just a great little company and delicious food. Sage Against the Machine. Check them out if you're in the Bellingham area. Okay, let's start the show. All right. So I saw Matthew McConaughey on Colbert yesterday. He did a little bit there about his Zoom game because Mr. McConaughey is a professor at the University of Texas. And he mentioned the importance of lighting. You know, if you sit in front of a window, say like I'm doing right now, you'll light yourself fairly well. Of course, that can cause some problems with overexposure and whatnot. But yeah, it's something to think about. Other people don't necessarily want to see a blown out, horrible picture of you while you're talking to them. Another big thing is audio. Audio is important. So if you're standing back from, say, your computer, talking into your computer's microphone, people might not be able to hear you very well. You can get a mic like this. You don't need a mic like this. You can opt to pop your headphones in. You have a nice little mic here that you can talk into. This works effectively. You know, people can really hear you really well when you're wearing these. Earbuds work too, but I don't think they work as well as these old school guys do. But getting off audio here, it can be fun to tweak around with the lighting and stuff like that. You don't really have a lot of options with Zoom. I don't think you can adjust your exposure and your contrast and things like that on there. So you just kind of want to do the best you can to sit in an area that is well lit. But if we look into the future, it's highly likely that we'll be doing a lot more of this kind of teleconferencing or just communicating via video in ways that, you know, we have perhaps pre-taped and have sent off to people. So just a fun little exercise here I'm going to demonstrate. I am standing in front of a window. So right now I feel like the lighting is pretty good. You know, everything's pretty straightforward. You can see me. You can see the room behind me well enough. Right? But let's change up a couple things and take a look here. If you are lit like this, it's kind of cool. You know, you just have your face. You can't really see the stuff behind you. I did this for a different episode. We can adjust this exposure some, you know, bring that down until we're happy with it. Start working with the contrast a little bit. Color saturation. There you go. So it just kind of has this effect where you're floating here in a way. You know, maybe you don't want people to see your room or your surroundings. So this is something we all may want to think about more as we become more and more of a digital society. You know, adjust the exposure and contrast on those photos. It makes a big difference. Think about where you're sitting when you're sitting in front of a camera. You know, make sure you're holding your camera horizontally and not vertically when you're filming video. Makes a big difference. You can really control the image better, and then you can edit it and cut it down a lot better. If you want to zoom in, zoom out, quick cuts, things like that. Anyway, I'll end that lesson here. Let's get back to it. So anyway, my cousin Amy came through with another really cool question. She reached out to me and asked, should or can we kill animals ethically for the sole purpose of eating them? There's also a little bit in here about comparing our pets to other animals like pigs. Why would we be fine with killing pigs and cows and chickens if we're not fine with killing animals like dogs or cats for food? So it's a cool question, something I've thought about a lot, and I think it presents a real dichotomy for most people when it comes to morals and ethics. This is a complicated question. Let's break it down a little bit here. First of all, should we kill animals for the sole purpose of eating them? I think the general consensus is that this is fine, this is ethical, because most people perceive it as a necessity, which I think in a lot of ways it is. When we look at the human population, overpopulation of our species, how our population is growing, factory farming feels like and seems like it's the only way that we can effectively feed everyone on this planet. Effective for fighting famine, effective for fighting disease, malnourishment, etc. But the question is, would a plant-based strategy work just as effectively? And I think there's a lot of indications that it can. But for now, what we're dealing with is a factory farming system, specifically when it comes to raising animals for food, that really casts the ethics of that specific situation aside for what we perceive as a greater good, which is feeding humanity. So what I think we can do in the interim here is agree that we should try to raise these animals as humanely as possible before we kill them for food, ensuring that they live a decent life that is not a life full of torture and torment. So one strategy, perhaps, that we can do ourselves to ensure this is to buy ethically produced products. There are companies out there that raise animals and sell their meat and do it in a way that is far more ethical and far less cruel. Generally, these products are considerably more expensive, but if you make the choice to eat less meat on a consistent basis, say once a day, once every 2 days, it makes it a lot more economical for you to make those choices. Now, understand with that, I'm speaking on the personal level. But large scale, how can something like this be effective? There are obviously large chunks of the human population that are impoverished and need cheap protein in order to survive. So that's important to understand, that culturally we're not all playing on the same level here. But I would posit, in my less than expert opinion on this matter, that it is overpopulation that is holding us back. So yeah, Amy, I would say if we are ever going to deal with the ethics of raising and killing animals for human consumption, we'll have to deal with the problem of human overpopulation, which opens up a whole nother bag of moral and ethical questions. How do we do that? That's something perhaps we could get into in another episode. But moving back towards your more specific question about the killing of animals. We don't like to think about killing our pets for human consumption or for any reason, really. That's not necessarily true in other cultures. Some cultures do eat dogs, cats, things like that. It's not quite how we perceive it, though. They're not literally eating their pets. In Korea, for instance, there's a specific breed of dog that they raised for dog meat, which is now a very niche food, something that people eat on very rare occasions or don't at all. Even in the Korean culture, it's seen as being uncouth. Taboo. But we are so connected to our pets because we have created them. We've bred them to be our best friends. And the same could be said for a lot of these farm animals. When we think about pigs and cows and chickens that we see on farms, those animals were created and bred by human beings in the agricultural era to help us so that we could eat their meat and consume the products that they create, the milk and the dairy and whatnot. And thinking about that, I often pose this question to vegans who think we should go completely plant-based because this is so cruel to raise these animals in this way and to kill them, which I agree with them on the former. But if we were to go completely plant-based, all of these animals would just disappear. Like, we would have no need for pigs as we know them today, or cows or cattle, egg-laying hens, and certain types of chickens. Those are species of animals that we have created. So if we do away with this need to consume them or to consume their products, we would be effectively pushing those species of animal into extinction. But I think, Amy, that it can be ethical to kill animals for human consumption. It starts with giving them a decent, humane life, and then it comes to killing them without any pain. So understand, we're totally capable of doing this. It's a choice. And it's a matter of people collectively thinking about the ethics of this kind of stuff. It's something we take for granted. We just buy the cheapest meat we can, we eat it, we overindulge. We are definitely gluttons in that sense. Yeah, let's just do better. And if we're thinking about these things, if we're talking about them with friends and family, and if we're making that maybe one choice a week, don't eat meat today, we're doing what we can.